is here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. By the way, count me among those who thinks Kristi Noem was doing an outstanding job at DHS on immigration and so much more. It's one of the most difficult departments to run. It's got so many responsibilities, TSA, FEMA, immigration, customs, Secret Service. I've been around a little while, and I served 8 years in the Reagan administration, as you know. I don't know of anybody who's done a better job on immigration than Kristi Noem. Again, I've met her twice socially. I've not been to any of these committee meetings that I've been assigned to. They've had two, I believe, because I've been on radio at the time. There's been a conflict, but I'm just telling you objectively, watching, which is precisely why the Democrats are trying to take her out. And consider Mayorkas before her. I mean, compare the two. The Democrats thought he was fantastic, even though he was breaking the law at every turn. Don't get caught up in the mob. Don't get caught up in the media. Don't get caught up with the RINOs and the rest of them. Think for yourself, and I know you will. I really do think when you look at the facts, she's done a fantastic job. And if she were a Democrat woman and was doing the opposite of what she's doing, like Mayorkas did, they'd be praising her and touting her for president. So I don't draw my conclusions through the eyes of the Democrats or the media or the RINOs or the others who cut and run. I never have, and I never will. Conversely, I've already sick and tired of Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania. What a self-serving self-promoter. Absolutely. We'll have to deal with him. He'll want to run for president. He thinks he's presidential material as he gives out millions of dollars to Islamists and all the rest of it. But we'll deal with that in due course. But there are things I want to talk about. Let's talk about this immigration issue. And there is a lot to talk about. Why are the Democrats fighting so hard for every single illegal alien to stay, to destroy ICE, to destroy the Border Patrol? Well, we know generally why, right? We've talked about this, because they want to increase their numbers in the House, because you actually count the number of people, which I think is unconstitutional, but we're talking about what's going on. You count the number of people, not the number of citizens, and here's what I wanted to read to you. It's about a year old from Peter Kirsanow at National Review, citing Center for Immigration Studies. The net effect of increases in both legal and illegal immigration in the 2020 census shifted 17 House seats and 17 electoral college votes, meaning to the Democrats, resulting in a net gain of 14 seats in blue states, 10 seats shifting from red states, and 4 from battleground states, that Democratic net gain is greater than the respective electoral votes of all but 10 states. In part because districts with high percentages of non-citizens tend to vote Democrat. Of the 24 districts where 1 in 5 adults is not an American citizen, 20 were won by Democrats in 2022. In contrast, the Democrat won in just 5 of 54 districts where 98% of adults are citizens. So there you see. If we were only counting citizens, and only citizens, Republicans would have a significant majority in the House of Representatives. Millions of illegal aliens have flooded the country during the Biden presidency. An indeterminate number, estimated to be in the hundreds of thousands, have been flown into the country by the Biden administration and deposited in certain jurisdictions. So this was intentional. Obviously. Increasingly, Democrats need be concerned about persuading American voters. They've gained electoral votes by the addition, strategic or otherwise, of illegal immigrants. That's the key. Over at Legal Insurrection, one of the great sites, Elizabeth Stauffer, in a recent interview with Fox News, former ICE acting director Jonathan Fahey said, Democrats fight each deportation, each one, as if it's a Democratic vote. As if it's a Democratic vote. Rarely have truer words been uttered. The American Redistricting Project, a nonprofit group focused on, quote, constitutional redistricting, unquote, an election transparently published in 2030 apportionment forecast on Tuesday. And what it revealed was remarkable. Based on the Census Bureau's July 1, 2025 population estimate, released Tuesday morning, I wasn't aware of this, the ARP apportionment map shows California losing 4 congressional seats. Illinois, Minnesota, New York, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and Wisconsin each lose 1 seat, for a total of 11 lost seats among blue states and purple states. Meanwhile, the map shows blue states and blue-leaning states. Meanwhile, the map shows red and purple states gaining those same 11 seats. Texas picks up 4 new seats. Florida picks up 2. Arizona, Georgia, Idaho, North Carolina, and Utah each get 1. Independent journalist Greg Price attached the ARP map to a post on X, and he noted, under this forecast, President Trump would have won the 2024 Electoral College 322 to 216. And even if Kamala had won Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan, Trump still would have won 280 to 258. This is one and only reason Democrats are fighting so hard to stop illegals from being deported. Their ability to continue winning elections is at stake. Without them, they'll burn down the country to keep them here. An ARP news release lists the districts that would be most effective. And under this forecast, President Trump would have won the 2024 Electoral College 322 to 216. The data is terrible news for Democrats, made worse by the fact that the migration of residents from blue states to red or purple states shows no sign of slowing. According to data released by the National Taxpayers Union Foundation 2 months ago, every 1 minute and 44 seconds, a taxpayer leaves California. For New York and Illinois, the times are 2 minutes and 23 seconds and 6 minutes and 4 seconds, respectively. These states are hemorrhaging residents. Moreover, another taxpayer leaves Washington state every 29 minutes and 55 seconds. Despite the absence of a state income tax for now, although one has been proposed, residents are voting with their feet, fleeing the evergreen states, steadily expanding tax and regulatory burden. These taxpayers are relocating to states with far more hospitable tax and regulatory climates. Florida, Texas, North Carolina, which welcome a new resident every 2 minutes and 9 seconds, 2 minutes and 53 seconds, and 6 minutes and 21 seconds, respectively. Now, a new release accompanying the data noted, in short, interstate movement isn't just a series of arrows in different directions. It's proof that Americans want lower taxes and limited government, and you can measure it with your watch. Got that, folks? That's heavy-duty stuff, isn't it, Mr. Producer? Heavy-duty stuff. And then there's this from Town Hall, Matt Vespa. You know what the common thread is here? But we have a deep dive into leftist mayhem over immigration and customs enforcement. What's the common thread? For some reason, these progressives think the law doesn't apply to them. Their self-righteous disposition being a legal and physical shield from harm. That is precisely wrong, as Renee Good and Alex Preddy, two activists who've been shot and killed by immigration officers for interfering in law enforcement actions, sadly learned. It's also set the city of Minneapolis on fire. Kevin Bass posted an excellent Twitter thread about these incidents, and he found that two-thirds of these confrontations come from 9 counties. 9 counties out of thousands and thousands of counties. It's also in areas where local officials have stated they're refusing to cooperate with ICE. It's another chapter in how bad Democrats are at public policy. Again, you knew this already, but here are the numbers. He says, I analyzed public databases and media reporting on violent confrontations with ICE over the past year. Just 9 counties accounted for 2/3 of violent confrontations with ICE in America. This is twice all violent confrontations in the remaining 3,134 counties in America combined. A violent confrontation in these 9 counties was 590 times more likely than in any of these other 3,134 counties. He says, I plotted these 9 counties. I found all 9 counties are sanctuary jurisdictions run by Democrat politicians that resist immigration law enforcement. These violent confrontations are rare in states and cities where local officials cooperate with law enforcement. An analysis of violent confrontations between ICE agents and non-immigrants, protesters, journalists, bystanders, officers, U.S. citizens, during immigration enforcement operations. The key finding, extreme geographic concentration. The top 9 counties accounted for 63% of all violent confrontations with non-immigrants nationwide. A violent confrontation is 590 more times likely in the top 9 counties than in any of the other 3,134 counties. And he goes on, he breaks it down county by county by county. Starting with the worst, Cook County, Illinois, then Los Angeles, Hennepin County, Minnesota, New York County, New York, Multnomah County, Oregon, that's Portland, San Francisco, King County, Washington, Essex County, New Jersey, Denver County, Colorado, all 9 counties, jurisdictions with sanctuary policies that limit cooperation with the federal government. In just 13 minutes of this program, you now know more than anybody else. Oh, and about the racist ICE and Border Patrol, I took a look. DHS data based on the EEOC data gathering. As of today, the Border Patrol is 31.13% Latino. Excuse me, that's ICE. ICE is 31.13% Latino. The Border Patrol is 50.93%, 51% Latino. The Border Patrol is 43.9% white. There's a huge number of minorities in our immigration services defending this nation. A vast number of Latinos. I thought you'd want to know that, too. I've got more. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Now, to those Republicans are slipping and slide, and I've had to deal with these types of Republicans my entire life. RINO, Republican in name only. I didn't invent that. I didn't coin it, but I made it famous. When I began this program, what is it now, Rich? 24 years? This battle between conservatives and RINOs was considered new. I remember even my friends at National Review saying, what do you mean by the establishment? And so I find it precious when people say to me, what do you know about taking on the establishment? We know everything about taking it on. We're the founding fathers here of taking on the establishment. And as a young man in Pennsylvania, we took on the Bush guys to get a Reagan nomination. This is who I am. This is who I've always been. That doesn't mean if I agree with the establishment, I agree with the establishment. And there are certainly occasions for that. But when we have our principal differences, I let you know. And I have a principal difference now. I do not believe the only people who should be deported are those who commit additional criminal acts or violent acts. That's not what federal immigration law says. I went back and I read a lot of this. People who overstay their visas should be deported. People who come here illegally should be deported. That's what the law provides for. And within the first 2 years, they don't even get an administrative law proceeding. They can be deported on sight. That's the law. And I can go into this more deeply if you wish. But if they're right, the RINOs, of course the Democrats, and I'm wrong, that means we can't deport the Islamists who come into this country and refuse to assimilate but talk about overthrowing the country. That's free speech, right? They say all these things that are horrendous about different faiths and so forth and so on, when in fact we can deport them. If they're here illegally, we can deport them, period. They're here as a privilege. Same with these other people who come here. They're here as a privilege. If they come under a visa, if they come here illegally, they're not even here as a privilege, they're here illegally. So don't tell me we should only be deporting people who rape and sodomize and assault and kill. That's ridiculous.
You're listening to Denali, the Great One.
The Great One.
And you can call in now, 877-381-3811.
Yellow. Now, these 9 counties, but they're not alone, of course. They're the main perpetrators. They don't want anybody deported, despite what they may say. I want you to listen to these 2024 criminal data statistics. That's right. I do a lot of research before this program because I believe you want to hear about it. 2024 ICE arrests with criminal histories just a year ago. They arrested 81,312 non-citizens with criminal convictions or pending charges, which accounted for over 71% of their total arrests. These 81,312 individuals had a combined total of 516,050 charges and or convictions, including 57,081 assaults, 18,579 sex offenses, 2,894, nearly 3,000 homicides. You understand? So if these people weren't here, these crimes wouldn't be committed. That is a fact. As of 2024, July, there were over 425,000 non-citizens with criminal convictions on ICE's non-detained docket, a database of people facing deportation but not in ICE custody, okay? That's 425,000 illegals and non-citizens with criminal convictions that ICE has yet to bring into custody. That is what they are trying to do all over the country, including in Minneapolis. In 2024, 21,304 non-U.S. citizens were sentenced in the federal system, with 88.7% of them being illegal aliens. 88.7% of 21,000 non-citizens were sentenced in our federal system, taking up space. Now get this caveat, which is crucial. The figures represent individuals identified by federal law enforcement, primarily at the border or during interior enforcement. Do not include all crimes committed by illegal aliens. So this doesn't even include the universe of all the crimes committed by illegal aliens, just the extent to which they can actually gather the information and put it in the databases. It's a big problem. And when these brave men and women in ICE go out there to try and apprehend these people, look what's done to them. The Democrat Party wants to shut down the entire government, but especially the TSA to interfere with your flights, FEMA to interfere with your federal support, and God knows what else. To quote-unquote reform ICE. Some of them want to defund ICE. Sounds a lot. The George Floyd riots and all the rest of it. Just remember, they're defending illegal aliens, many of whom are criminals and convicts in their own home countries and in our country. And so many people, they don't even know who they are, and they don't care who they are. But they're counting them in support of additional House seats. It's all about power. My book on power, one of the best books I've ever written. Now, what about these protesters? What about these protesters? First Amendment rights, right to assemble. Really? That's for sure. You have a First Amendment right to assemble, the right to protest. What you don't have a right to do is riot, commit acts of violence, destroy public property, assault officers, or obstruct officers from doing their jobs. That you don't have a right to do. And I'm going to prove it to you right now. This guy, Alex Preddy, he spat on an ICE officer. Spitting is considered a physical contact, a physical assault. And by the way, that goes for you too in most states. Spitting involves contact with bodily fluids, which can be interpreted as a health threat, but it's considered an assault. It doesn't have to be with a fist or a stick or anything else. Simple assault can lead to up to 1 year in federal prison, while more severe offenses or those resulting in bodily harm can carry higher penalties, including up to 8 years or even more if a dangerous weapon is involved. The statute covers any federal employee, including ICE, Border Patrol, FBI, others, who are engaged in their official duties. So Alex Preddy assaulted a federal ICE agent. That's a crime. In that first incident, what else did he do? He violated 18 U.S.C. 1361. What's that? Damage to U.S. government property. If the damage to U.S. government property exceeds $1,000, it's a felony. Up to 10 years in prison and heavy fines. If the damage is $1,000 or less, it's a misdemeanor. Up to 1 year in prison and fines. So he did that too. So what did the ICE agents do? The guy was losing his mind. He was out of control. He spat on an officer. He's using the F word. challenging them to attack him. Then he kicked the vehicle twice, broke the back light. So he committed assault and he committed destruction of federal property. They let him go. They let him go. 18 U.S.C. Section 111, assaulting, resisting, or impeding certain officers or employees. Whoever forcibly assaults, resists, opposes, impedes, intimidates, or interferes with any person designated in Section 1114, that includes ICE, while engaged in or account of the performance of their official duties, shall, where the acts in violation of this section constitute only simple assault, be fined and they have the amount. Enhanced penalty if the commission of any acts described, if they use a potentially deadly weapon. Now, what if you're conspiring to do these things? Conspiracy to obstruct federal law enforcement is also a federal crime. 18 U.S.C. Section 371 or Section 372. Two or more people agreeing to impede, injure, or interfere with federal officers. Impede or interfere. You can put injure aside. With federal officers or investigations through force, threats, or corruption. Includes actions to prevent officers from discharging their duties. Punishable by up to 5 to 6 years in prison. The government must prove 1, an agreement existed, 2, the defendant voluntarily joined it, and 3, an overact was committed to further the conspiracy. So what are we talking about here? Remember that Fox digital piece that we talked about? The extraordinary amount of detailed evidence of these signal communications. Signal communications. Where they were conspiring to obstruct law enforcement. That was a federal offense. Once they carried out those duties, those activities, that was a federal offense. So I want you to know about these things. Now, again, the shooting that took place of Alex Petty, I've given my opinion on that multiple times now in the course of 48 hours or so. There's an investigation underway, as there always is when there's a shooting of state, local, or federal law enforcement. And no difference here. And that will determine what took place. But I'm just giving you the context for things. And of course, none of this would be happening but for 2 factors. Number 1, the Democrats, the Biden regime, and the congressional Democrats let all these people into the country in violation of numerous parts of the immigration law. And you know what? After the break, I'll tell you what parts those are. And number 2, but for the gaslighting of these people and these organizations under an umbrella organization called the Democrat Party, particularly in these 9 counties, by a Democrat mayor by the name of Fry and a Democrat governor who wanted to be vice president by the name of Walz. And it occurs in California under Newsom, in L.A. under Bass. It occurs in New York under Hochul, and now, of course, under Mondami, and there are others. And there are others. And so the Republican RINO reaction to this, Republican in name only, their reaction to this is, hey, we've gone as far as we can go. I even heard one of these commentators say it. We've reached the end of our political string. I've never seen anything like this. Such cowards. Such buffoons. Well, then it's over. If we are only going to try to deport violent, criminal, illegal aliens, then it's over. Because there will be millions and millions of people here, illegally. They will have de facto amnesty, if not actual amnesty at some point. And certainly their children, if the Supreme Court doesn't rule that this preposterous birthright citizenship is not constitutional, but I fear the reverse, the opposite, then the Republicans, we can never win. I am not going to allow these RINOs to do this. Under media pressure, under Democrat Party pressure, shutting down the government, what have you. They fight like hell for their power. And they fight like hell before they give up 1 inch or one illegal immigrant. Why some of these Republicans are already wetting themselves. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
All right, here's Tom Homan at a press conference this morning in Minnesota. Cut 11, go.
If you're in the country illegally, you're never off the table. But privatization doesn't mean you forget about everybody. So let me say this. If the message we send is you can enter this country illegally, it's a crime. Don't worry about it. You can have your due process, show up in court and not show up in court, get ordered removed. Don't worry about it. Unless you commit a serious crime, you're good to go. If that's the message we send to the world, you're never going to fix this problem.
All right, that's good. That's good. He's exactly right. Now, you're hearing a lot of pundits, so-called journalists, saying the Republicans need to run away from this issue. They're trying to scare these Republicans, and they always are able to scare 10 or 15 or 20% of them. I mean, it's really outrageous. But David Axelrod even gets this. Obama's Svengali on CNN today. Cut 24, go.
I do want to get your thoughts on this question that was asked in the Fox poll regarding abolishing ICE. The Fox poll has it at doubling from where it was in 2018 to 36%. Down party lines, 59% of Democrats supported, 16% of Republicans. How do you see abolishing ICE as a campaign message? Is it a winning one?
No, not if it implies that there's not going to be any immigration enforcement in the country. I think people believe there should be. I think people believe you should come to the country legally, and if you don't, there should be some penalty for that. They do believe that, but I don't think I don't think they want to abolish ICE. The problem that we've seen before when people said abolish the police or defund police. Yeah. I don't think people.
All right, that's it. He goes on about it, and he's right. The Democrats are digging a hole for themselves, and the Republicans are going to be jumping in the hole with them if they don't cut this out. If they don't stop acting like cowards. The American people are living with illegal immigration. They understand what it's doing to their lives, to their jobs, to their finances. They see what's happening with the Somalians and the Afghans and others on welfare, or in the case of the Somalians, all the fraud that's taking place. They don't like it. They don't like this Islamism that is being preached. They don't like it. Now, we're here because Biden violated virtually every aspect of our immigration laws in violation of his constitutional oath to ensure that the laws are faithfully executed. That language comes straight out of the Constitution. Termination of Remain in Mexico policy. Title 42 Public Health Order, where he dropped that, so even people potentially with COVID can come into the country. But it was upheld as a basis for keeping hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens out of the country. He used parole not on an individual basis. Parole is an individual-based policy where you make a determination if there's historic abuse in the case of one individual or in a case of particular circumstances. He did it on a mass scale. He violated parole, and they gave parole to hundreds of thousands of individuals just depending on where they came from. That's not what parole is for. That's not what parole is for. The credible fear reform among the most concerning aspects. It allows asylum officers to grant asylum, placing an alien on a path to citizenship, following a non-adversarial hearing in front of one of these immigration law judges. Now, an immigration law judge is a bureaucrat appointed by the Attorney General of the United States. They're not judges that are confirmed by the Senate. They're not quote-unquote federal judges. They're bureaucrats. And they were allowed to basically give amnesty to anybody they wanted to. That was new. What else? Non-enforcement policies. What does that mean? They put out these guidelines an exhaustive list of factors that officers had to take into account before investigating, questioning, arresting, detaining, prosecuting, removing aliens. An impossible list. Now I can go on. Alternatives to detention, only in very narrow cases, but they did it in major cases. So people weren't detained. They didn't show up for their dates in front of administrative law judges, and we never saw them again. Biden did this with every aspect of our immigration laws. He created this situation that Democrats did. This segment of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers great coverage and can save your family money on your wireless bill every single month. Go to puretalk.com to find the plan that's right for you. Thank you again for listening, and thank you so much for this sponsorship, Pure Talk.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 1-877-3811. Well, ladies and gentlemen, will we or won't we? And if we do, what will we do? Will we attack Iran? And if we do, is the goal to take out the leadership? I certainly hope so. I hope so for both. I'm doing everything I can on all these platforms I have to communicate to the administration and to you, Mr. and Mrs. America, the absolute necessity to take out Khomeini and that regime. The absolute necessity to help these people. The absolute necessity to help us by taking out this regime. People will say it has an enormous impact throughout the Middle East. It could be a problem. I say it'll have an enormous impact eventually in a positive way with communist China, with fascistic Russia, and in fact with the Islamist regimes in the Middle East. Here's Pete Hegseth at a cabinet meeting today about Iran. He's obviously the Secretary of War. Now you'll notice I don't bring people on the program who are in the middle of making these decisions. Number one, I want them to do well. I want them to make the right decisions. I want them to be focused and not to be distracted. So I don't do that. If I communicate with anybody, I might do it off the record and so forth, but even there I'm hesitant. If people want to know what I believe, the President of the United States once said, if I want to know what you think, I'll listen to you on the radio or I'll watch you on TV. And he watches the Saturday and Sunday show on Fox. He watches both. And as Stephen Miller announced once in a public event, he not only watches both, but he downloads the monologue on both and sends it out to the cabinet. Did you know that? Did I tell you that, Mr. Producer? That's what he does. And so Stephen Miller says, we all know what you say because we watch it, plus the president watches it, plus he sends it to everybody. In any event, here's Pete Hegseth just a few hours ago. Cut one, go.
Same thing with Iran right now, ensuring that they have all the options to make a deal. They should not pursue nuclear capabilities.
Now let's stop right there. This is a little incongruous to me. I didn't know we were talking about making deals. I thought the issue here was whether we help save people in Iran from this Holocaust that's taking place and take out that regime and help us, by the way, very mightily, very importantly. Not a deal about nukes and so forth and so on. I thought we were done with that. I'm just being honest with you. Go ahead.
President expects of the War Department. Just like we did this month, no other military in the world could have executed the most sophisticated, powerful raid, not just in American history, I would say in world history. What those men did going downtown, another country, the most secure place in the most secure base in the middle of the night without anybody knowing until those simultaneous bombs dropped 3 minutes before the helicopters dropped. No other country could coordinate that. No other president would have been willing to empower those warriors that way to be that effective. And that sends a message to every capital around the world that when President Trump speaks, he means business, and we are reestablishing deterrence at the War Department, Mr. President.
Well, that's what I feel. And that's why I'm hopeful, and I believe he will do something. But pinpricks are not going to work now. The regime needs to go. The regime needs to go. That's just the way it is. If the regime doesn't go, that means it'll be around. Obviously, that's the consequence. And that means what? Your children and grandchildren are going to have to deal with this. That's what it means. I hope that's not what happens. 61% of MAGA want Iran hit and hit hard. That was according to a very thorough poll, a legitimate poll. And I did share that with certain individuals. I think that's important to know because you have the isolationist neo-fascists out there who claim to speak for MAGA, and of course they don't speak for anybody, and most of them don't speak unless they're getting a huge payday. Don't you wonder what Carlson got to go to Qatar and speak? You know it wasn't a small sum. To go to Saudi Arabia and speak? Must have got an enormous amount of money. I notice he doesn't go to Nigeria to speak to the Christians there. He's a fervent Christian, but not fervent enough, apparently, to see the Christians in Nigeria. He says he feels very comfortable in the center of Islam, he said, in Saudi Arabia. But, of course, he doesn't go to Gaza, where they grab and butcher him up like they cut him up like a salami. And he certainly doesn't go to visit the Islamist terrorists in Africa and other places where they do the same thing. They don't give a damn about what he has said in support of these entities. He is what he is, and he needs to be eliminated. Sort of the way that he thinks about Jews. Not that we need to be eliminated, but that we need to be attacked and smeared with his racist, bigoted comments. And he's certainly not alone. There's Candace Owens. She's a real mental midget. And there's Third Reich Bannon. He used to be a Christian Zionist. Now he's just a fat slob. But, you know, that's how it goes. Yes. There's got to be some action. It's got to be significant. Negotiating deals. Everything's not a deal. It's just not. Some things have to be done because they're right and they need to be done quickly in order to save life. This is very, very important. I'm going to continue to speak out about this as if I'm the last man standing. And I know you in this audience, Mr. and Mrs. America, I know you understand this or you wouldn't be here. Those of you who go to church, those of you who go to synagogue, those of you who go nowhere, just have good hearts and souls. This is what our country stands for. This is who we are. And as I said last night, and I want to reiterate this, it's very, very important until some of the plagiarists regurgitate it on radio and on TV. Then I'll know I've hit the target. Any regime that's willing to kill 50,000 of its own people, or 1 million of its own people if it has to, that is the Islamo-Nazi regime in Iran, wouldn't blink an eye at shooting a nuclear warhead on an ICBM that can go 10,000 miles to blow up any of our cities. Wouldn't blink an eye. Because remember, they believe this is they're compelled to do so by their faith. And that they must eliminate us. or anybody who doesn't embrace their beliefs, and even more than that, doesn't embrace them. They believe they're God's gift. They believe they're Allah's gift. And they believe there's no other way. They interpret it their way. And that's the way it is. And if you don't like it, death to you. Death to you. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
You know what Pure Talk's favorite holiday is? President's Day. Because they believe wireless service should only cost you a couple of presidents. Just a Jackson and a Lincoln, to be exact. For $25 a month, Pure Talk gives you unlimited talk, text, plenty of data. Now compare that to big wireless. They'd rather celebrate Benjamin Franklin Day so they can charge your family hundreds every month, and he wasn't even a president. That's not right. You deserve better. Pure Talk is an American wireless company that supports our veterans and invests in a U.S.-only customer service team. When you call, you're talking to someone right here at home. Pure Talk uses the same towers as the big carriers, so enjoy superior 5G coverage without the inflated price. Just $25 a month for talk, text, plenty of data, no contract, no cancellation fee. Don't wait any longer, folks. Go to puretalk.com/Levin, puretalk.com/Levin. You'll get 50% off your first month. Again, that's puretalk.com/Levin to make the switch to Pure Talk. Well, we're here with our buddy Chip Roy, who is running for statewide office. Solicitor, right? Right, Chip? Isn't that the name they give it?
Attorney General of the state of Texas.
Well, that's even better. I like that better. Actually has more power anyway. Attorney General of the state of Texas. And you're running for this office. What do you think of some of these Republicans who are saying we need to rethink immigration enforcement and maybe only focus on those who've committed additional crimes, not people who've come here illegally? Wouldn't that kind of destroy the entire immigration enforcement process and encourage more illegal aliens to come?
Yeah, Mark, great to be on as always. I mean, look, right now, first of all, let me just say I'm so thankful that the president has put Tom Homan in the place that he's in, because I trust him and he's going to do a good job to make sure that we do things right. But these Republicans who have been, frankly, making it hard for the president and hard for Tom by going out and vomiting all over their shoes because they're freaking out, because heaven forbid we're actually trying to enforce the laws. I mean, Mark, it's not just the dangerous criminal aliens. There are 1.5 million people in the United States who are actually currently under an order of removal by a federal judge. They've been told they got to be removed. We've got, untold numbers of people who are here illegally that are in our school systems, in our hospitals, getting welfare benefits, getting fraudulent benefits, as we saw in Minneapolis. And these guys, the same Chamber of Commerce people, the same people that write editorials in the Wall Street Journal saying, oh, but we've got to have all of our, cheap labor. Those are the folks that are undermining our security. And it's not just the dangerous ones, right? But it is the dangerous folks that ICE was rounding up and making sure that we were safe. Literally people committing sodomy and rape and murder and aggravated assault. And then, now we've got our guys going, oh, well, we don't want to do that anymore. I do. And the president does. Tom Homan does. Our men and women in ICE and Border Patrol do. And I can tell you the people of Texas want it done, because when an illegal alien is free to be, engaging in criminal activity in Minneapolis, they can get a car on I-35 and they can be in Dallas or Austin within the day. So we've got to make sure we're securing the entire country.
If you actually have to commit additional crimes, you are basically negating a massive amount of our immigration laws. And people come here illegally, you don't even need an order from a judge if they've been here 2 years or less. You can, on the spot, remove them. That's what federal law says. And when we talk about judges, we're talking about basically administrative law judges, not judges confirmed by the Senate. We're talking about so-called immigration judges appointed by the Attorney General of the United States, and the Supreme Court has ruled time and time and time again. These are not criminal proceedings. They require this whole due process These are proceedings that determine, in fact, you don't even have a right to a government paid for lawyer. If you want to bring a lawyer to certain of these proceedings, you can do it, but you pay for it on your own dime. And the court has made that point over and over again. Yet I think the media and the Democrats, and quite frankly, some of these judges who stepped out of their jurisdiction and had to be put back in their jurisdiction by appellate court panels, have created this impression about this full criminal-like due process that applies to illegal aliens. That's not the case.
Mark, that's exactly right. And thank you, because, right now we have Republicans who are trying to lionize or somehow make a saint out of, somebody who literally was kicking the taillights out of our law enforcement, our ICE, and they're now trying to make him into some sort of hero. They're trying to take our eye off the ball when we've got a coordinated effort by Marxists and Islamists who want to destroy our country. We're dealing with it in Texas. The organized left and the funding, they're taking that money in an organized way from around the world, from George Soros, from the Ren Collective, the Arabella Group, all of the NGOs, all of that money is flowing, and that is going to groups that want to literally change Texas and make it into an Islamic state. We're seeing it in Dallas. We're seeing it in Houston. When you talk to the people who understand the intelligence, that see what's happening in Paris and in London, they will tell you that Dallas and Houston are their next front in the war. They want to make them ground zero. They want to take Texas out so they can take America out, so they can Islamify the entire Western Hemisphere. They want to destroy everything that is good about our Judeo-Christian culture and Western civilization, and we're playing freaking tiddlywinks, and while they're trying to kill us. And you can't win a war if you don't acknowledge the war exists. And I'm sick and damn tired of it, and it's why I'm running for Attorney General.
Things you're saying are crucially important. We're talking about a lot of this on this program. So if we were only going to deport the most criminally violent illegal aliens, that would mean the people of whom you speak, who are not citizens, Islamists who come into this country, who are encouraged to come into this country, who are creating these segregated communities through the building of mosques and Muslim community centers, whether it's in Plano or, you're right, Houston, or now Austin they're looking at, and now they're looking at Tampa Bay, Florida, and they've done it in all over the country. These are strategically located, and we have these local zoning boards who are having to deal with it while these people are acting nationally. That means none of them can be deported, or people who overstay their visas. None of them could be deported. What kind of idiot? Why do Republicans always show such damn weakness?
Well, this is, I think, the core question that faces us, and again, why I'm running for Attorney General. We have got to take this seriously, this coordinated effort. So let's take everything you just rattled off. Epic City in Plano, the Islamic Center in Houston, that center in Austin. There's one in West Campus at the University of Texas. You mentioned Tampa. Our mutual friend Amy Mack is on the job focusing on what's going on at Tampa and all these places and highlighting what's going on. And if you know what's going on, you know that it is all organized. And CARE is laughing at us. Mm-hmm. CARE is laughing at our governor and at our attorney general, and they're saying, we don't care. The judges are going to let us do whatever we want to do. The city of Austin just had a day of whatever for Muslims in Austin, some sort of day of praise or something, and CARE was a part of it. And we're just letting that all happen while they laugh at us because they know they can run their money through their C4s and all these organizations to prop all these things up. They can buy land in Texas. They can create these areas. They'll say, oh, true, everybody's welcome. We don't have Sharia law. Bull crap. You know they don't want to have everybody there. They're trying to create separatist communities. They're trying to have Sharia law in place, and it's all part of an organized effort to get people elected, get them in due charge, so that they can then destroy Texas. That's what's happening. And if we don't stop the money, and the AG's office has a lot of power to look at the books of these NGOs and these nonprofits, follow the money, and destroy these entities.
I want you to listen to this. Let's get number 6 ready, Mr. Producer. This is a Minnesota Islamic Imam, Abdul Malik. And by the way, all week we've been playing these imams and other so-called scholars and activists, all saying exactly the same thing. They want to conquer the United States. Cut 6, go.
Now that the people of America are standing for you, will you share with them the light and the beauty and the majesty of Islam? or will you stay in hiding? Tell the young people to continue to study, to prepare themselves to become the doctors, the lawyers, the engineers, to become the mayor, the police chief, the leaders of Congress, and those that were born in America. Prepare yourself to be America's next president. Share with the people of Minnesota the words of the Quran, the wisdom of the prophet, and the beauty of our community, because this is your moment of grace. You have to make up your mind today as Muslims in Minnesota. What is your position in defending the lives and the future of your people? Nobody asks you to be violent. You don't have to be violent. Your weapon is your faith. Your strength is your unity. And you must quickly engage the American people, especially the people of Minnesota. We just elected a Muslim to be the mayor of New York.
And it goes on and on and on, Chip Roy. When we come back, we have a hard break. He's not the only one. This is being said in places all over the country every day. We'll be right back. You know what Pure Talk's favorite holiday is? President's Day. Because they believe wireless service should only cost you a couple of presidents. Just a Jackson and a Lincoln, to be exact. For $25 a month, Pure Talk gives you unlimited talk, text, plenty of data. Now compare that to big wireless. They'd rather celebrate Benjamin Franklin Day so they can charge your family hundreds every month, and he wasn't even a president. That's not right. You deserve better. Pure Talk is an American wireless company that supports our veterans and invests in a U.S.-only customer service team. When you call, you're talking to someone right here at home. Pure Talk uses the same towers as the big carriers, so enjoy superior 5G coverage without the inflated price. Just $25 a month for talk, text, plenty of data, no contract, no cancellation fee. Don't wait any longer, folks. Go to puretalk.com/Levin, puretalk.com/Levin. You'll get 50% off your first month. Again, that's puretalk.com/Levin to make the switch to Pure Talk.
Mark Levin, the thunder on the right. Call in now, 877-381-3811.
So, Chip Roy, you heard it. You've probably heard it elsewhere, and it is constant, and it is multitudinous. That is, in a lot of these mosques and so forth, this is what's going on. You mentioned CARE. CARE was founded, as you know, as part of the effort by Hamas to influence our politics, and was part of the Holy Land Foundation litigation. They were found to be an unindicted co-conspirator, and their links to Hamas. Here's my question to you. How is it that CARE isn't shut down? I don't care about their tax status or whatever else. If Hamas is a terrorist organization and CARE is linked to Hamas, how is it that CARE even exists in the United States of America? Do we need to change our laws or something?
First of all, we're just a very stupid people right now. I just got to be honest. The leadership of this country is not acknowledging the war that exists upon us. They are using our own laws. They're using our Constitution. They're using our land. They're trying to buy up America, and we're just sitting back and letting it happen. I don't know why we let foreigners buy up our land in the first place. Mm-hmm. I don't know why we let foreigners own our companies, our lands, our beef packing facilities. They buy up our corporations. We shouldn't do that. And again, that's an area where AGs have power. Look, I think at the end of the day, to your point, and I get the scoffing because I agree with you, I introduced legislation to take their tax status away because I think we should do it. But I'm with you. We should just shut them down. They shouldn't exist in our country. But we're pretending there's a lot of rhetoric saying, oh, well, they're a terrorist organization. But we have to just act on it and say, we're shutting you down. And say, well, under what authority? Under the national security of the United States, commander-in-chief authority, whatever it takes. But we've got to go through and shut them down. I can promise you I will use every law and every tool at my disposal as AG. And then if I don't have that tool, I will go to the legislature in Texas and say, give me the tools. We need to have those tools. And so by no later than summer of next year in 2027, as Attorney General, I will have gone to the legislature. I would have asked for the tools. I will set out what we need to do, and we need to shut down every single one of these organizations, not just CARE. There's dozens of them. They're affiliated with terrorists. They want to undermine our country. We need to stop them. We're a Judeo-Christian, Western civilization-based country, and we need to stand on that.
Folks all over the country, I want you to help this man. He's been a dear friend of mine for 20 years or so. He is as solid as they come and as earnest and principled as they come. And he will take the lead in the state of Texas and all over the country. This is very, very important. You can go to chiproy.com, chiproy.com. I really want you Make this a Levin surge. I really want you to help Chip. He's got to win that seat as Attorney General because these entities need to be shut down. They need to be removed. And there's no reason we can't, given their overt ties to terrorist entities. And look, what Chip is saying is we'll duke it out in court. And if it turns out that we don't win in court, then we're going to need new laws, and he's going to fight for new laws. That's what we need. Not turn the other cheek, not ignore what's going on here. Because that's my concern, Chip Roy, that they have a nationwide agenda, their strategy, specific locations. I mean, Plano's Republican, so they want to flip Plano, they want to flip Tampa, they want to flip these other areas. They want to hit the capital of Texas. They're taking spots. Paterson, New Jersey's another example. Dearborn, Michigan's another example. But they're all over the country. They're all over California and so forth and so on. And before you know it, you wake up one day and we're England or we're France, and it's going to take attorneys general throughout this country to fight it. And so, how is your campaign going?
So, Mark, we're doing great. We are polling well over 40 points in every poll that I've seen. We're pushing 50. Now, we're at state where you have to get over 50 in the primary to avoid a runoff. I have three opponents. Not one of them is polled over 12 to 15 points. Most of them are in single digits. And so we feel very good about it, but we want to win this on March 3rd. So if you're a Texan out there, if you're around the country, I thank you, Mark, for putting that out there. Send me some money, chiproy.com. We can win this on March 3rd, save money, go help get a Congress that is elected to support the president, avoid impeachment, make sure Texas is strong, give me the time to go win a general election fight if we have one, and then make sure we're prepared to go to battle on day one next January to protect Texas. But it's game time. We have a war to win. You got to acknowledge the war if you want to win it, and we're ready to go. We feel good about it, but, we've got to finish strong and win this on March 3rd.
So this election's March 3rd. It's kind of a weird time to have
early
an election.
Voting starts February. Yeah, it's early voting, February 17th. Believe it or not, Mark, starts 2.5 weeks from now. And the primary day is March 3rd. So, we're going to push hard on the gas to try to get it done, keep raising money, keep running our ads, and try to make sure we win by March 3rd.
One of the things we're very good at here is because the Levinites are committed activists. We're mission-oriented, is getting out the vote for the people we support. So, send me a text or something and remind me so we can bring you back, because this is a very, very crucial election, and we very strongly support you, Chip Roy, for Attorney General of Texas. Thanks for everything, brother.
Thank you, brother. Best to your great family, and hope to see you soon. God bless you, my friend.
You too. You be well. A gentleman suffered through cancer for a period of time, and he came through the other end. He's very... he's a role model to me and to a lot of us. He just is. He's a remarkable person and a very, very important. What's going on in the country is going to have to be fought by men like that, or women who are strong on this too. Because otherwise, we're going to lose the country. We're going to lose the country in 5 years. Look what's happened to the country in 5 years. Look to your own communities. Look at your school systems. We're not talking about people who come here and assimilate into our society. That's what we want. We're talking about people who come here and trash our society, who demand that we assimilate into their religious beliefs and their societies. That we don't want anything to do with. Pramelia Jayapal, she represents Seattle. She's a hate America leftist. She's a commie. And these people are serious about what they want to do. Listen to this. Cut 15. This is from yesterday. Go.
We really need to, as soon as we get the gavels back, we have to dismantle DHS and ICE and CBP. And we have to reconstruct them to what they really should be doing. Remember, don't let people tell you that these are agencies that have always existed and they need to exist. They didn't exist before 9/11.
Okay, you're a liar. They all existed under the entity called INS, the Immigration and Naturalization Service, which was in the Department of Justice, which when I worked for Attorney General Meese and I was his chief of staff, was under our umbrella. They've always existed. Interior enforcement, border enforcement, customs. They're talking about destroying all of that. They don't mean reform. They mean deform, destroy, deconstruct. These are leftists. Now, she and her ilk in the Democrat Party and their president and his ilk and his regime created this situation, created it in what has to be the most irresponsible but intentional political act, maybe in our history, but certainly among them. You're destroying our culture. You're destroying our citizenry. You're bringing people in the country. Many of them, you don't even know who the hell they are, and you don't care because you're power hungry. You want to beef up your congressional districts, beef up your electoral college votes. You want to destroy the Supreme Court by turning it into your own little Politburo by adding more leftists to it. You want to destroy our voting system, turn it into a voting system like they have in California and now in New York City, so Democrats cannot lose. You want one-party cities, one-party states, and they're trying that right now in the state of Virginia. Right now. Among their first actions. These people know what they're doing. They're not about elections. They're about using elections to destroy elections. They're about using liberty to destroy liberty. They're about using the state constitutions of the federal constitution to destroy the state and federal constitutions. That's what they're about. This is not a party that some remember in the 70s and maybe the 80s. There's very few moderates left. You can count them on one hand. Count them on two fingers. It's not a party of moderates. It's not a party that seeks comity, C-O-M-I-T-Y. It's not a party that wants to meet you halfway. It's a party that wants to crush you and destroy you. Hence, the Islamists and the Marxists have found a home in the Democrat Party. And when I see these quisling Republicans who bow to this, who refuse to stand up to this, who go after Kristi Noem rather than going after Hakeem Jeffries, I literally get sick to my stomach. Sick to my stomach. And now, they want to join in the crowd that refuses to enforce the immigration laws. We have a majority in the House, a majority in the Senate, we have the presidency, and you have these Republicans saying we need to have a national discussion about this. The American people don't want this. The American people do want this. It's happening in 9 counties, essentially. We don't know how to talk. We don't know how to persuade. We don't know how to explain things. So it's time for new blood in the Republican Party. That's it. New blood. They can do all these things. And if they buckle and fold on this one, it's going to be over. We lose this battle, we lose the country. The Democrats know it. That's why they fight for every single illegal alien. Whether they've sodomized a 9-year-old, whether they've murdered somebody, they don't even know their names. They don't care. They don't care. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
You know what Pure Talk's favorite holiday is? President's Day. Because they believe wireless service should only cost you a couple of presidents. Just a Jackson and a Lincoln, to be exact. For $25 a month, Pure Talk gives you unlimited talk, text, plenty of data. Now compare that to big wireless. They'd rather celebrate Benjamin Franklin Day so they can charge your family hundreds every month, and he wasn't even a president. That's not right. You deserve better. Pure Talk is an American wireless company that supports our veterans and invests in a U.S.-only customer service team. When you call, you're talking to someone right here at home. Pure Talk uses the same towers as the big carriers, so enjoy superior 5G coverage without the inflated price. Just $25 a month for talk, text, plenty of data, no contract, no cancellation fee. Don't wait any longer, folks. Go to puretalk.com/Levin, puretalk.com/Levin. You'll get 50% off your first month. Again, that's puretalk.com/Levin to make the switch to Pure Talk. Now, I want you to understand something, folks. I believe in the American spirit, your spirit, Mr. and Mrs. America. I believe that we can turn things around, but there's a point at which we can't. There's still time, though. We have to win these battles. like this battle over immigration. It's not just another battle. It's not just another issue. This issue takes in everything. It takes in the nature of the country, the demographics, the whole point of citizenry, and those who are trying to devour it. This is a complex battle. It's occurring within the United States, imported in part from outside the United States. And we're funding some of these regimes that in turn are taking the money and using it against us. And if I have one complaint about what's going on with both parties, it is the embrace of this country, Qatar and Saudi Arabia. It is these podcasters and influencers who are selling us out, who are traitors to us, you and me, to our families, to the people who have fought for this country, who are trying to spin and use arguments in favor of these countries and their ideologies and Sharia law and all the rest of it. These are the enemies within, including the podcasters and these self-appointed influencers. Lots more when we return. I'll be right back.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. This is the Power Hour. The President of the United States literally was just on the red carpet to see the movie Melania, and he had this to say about Iran. Go.
Have you had any conversations with Iran in the last few days, and are you planning on any?
I have had, and I am planning on it, yeah. We have a lot of very big, very powerful ships sailing to Iran right now, and it would be great if we didn't have to use them. Okay?
Can you say what the message was that you shared with Iranians?
Well, I told them two things. Number one, no nuclear, and number two, stop killing protesters. They're killing them by the thousands. You know, I stopped 837 hangings 2 weeks ago, but they're going to have to do something. Nobody's seen anything like this.
Yeah. I think he's getting tired of this and tired of them. That's what I think. That's what I pray. That's what I hope. So we shall see. Let's see, there was something I wanted to get to. Bear with me. Bear with me, folks. Hold on 1 second. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Here we go. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, there it is. Stephen Colbert. Do we have that, Mr. Producer? Folks, I want you to listen to this. Cut 12, please. Go.
Levin went on complaining. Look, Dana, they're trying to portray Border Patrol agents and ICE agents as Gestapo, Nazi, and many other words.
Yes, do not compare ICE or Border Patrol agents to the Nazis. That's an unfair comparison. The Nazis were willing to show their faces.
You think that's funny, America? His audience does, because it's filled with left-wing thugs. The Nazis, you see, the Border Patrol and the Nazis, the only difference is the Nazis were willing to show their faces. You know, these wealthy left-wing entertainers are among the most loathsome of any organization, any group. He thinks that's funny. He'll go off. His staff will take care of him, make sure. Mr. Colbert, do you need a coffee? Mr. Colbert, would you like a glass of wine? Mr. Colbert, your hair's out of sorts. Mr. Colbert, let's get your makeup straight. And he comes up and makes a statement like that. And I want you to think about something. We just noted the anniversary, the Holocaust Remembrance Day. And what happened to the Jews? And what happened to other people too? But most egregiously, the number of Jews. And you have fewer and fewer Holocaust survivors. And they have to listen to this as a comedy routine. And he won't pay a price for it. He still acts like a punk because they're going to remove him because he's overpaid. They're not making money on his show. Nobody's watching it. And this is why. That's funny. I mean, you have one of your 20 comedy writers come up with that line and they bring it to you and you say, you know, I like that. Make sure you don't edit it out. Don't strip it out. We're going to use it for the monologue. He doesn't write any of his own stuff. These guys are paid $20 million a year, 25, 50, whatever it is. They don't even write this stuff. But that's not funny. You know, they act like Alex Preddy is a martyr. He's not a martyr. We'll find out what happened beyond what we saw. But he's no martyr. Meanwhile, you have babies and children and women and old men and old women and so forth and so on, just slaughtered for no reason. And it's a joke. And the trashing of Border Patrol and the trashing of ICE. These people don't make a lot of money. They are highly trained. They are absolute professionals. These men and women are standing up to the system that is being funded by billionaires, that is being organized by communists and socialists and Islamists and illegal alien groups. And they're standing up to, we're not. You and I, we're not. We go about our business. But these are the people that get up in the morning or get up in the middle of the night and have to put their flak jackets on and 40, 50 pounds of equipment and protection to go out there to grab these criminals and others. And they're treated like crap. And now they're being smeared because the Democrat Party wants them smeared. So the whole Democrat Party universe, entertainers, comics, podcasters, broadcasters, media, their party leaders, their party apparatchiks, they're all out there trashing, dehumanizing the men and women in ICE, the men and women in the Border Patrol, just like they've done to local cops in the past, just like they did to the military 25 years ago, and they'll be back. It's just horrendous to me. We have such a small percentage, a fraction of the population, who are willing to put on a uniform. As cops, as firefighters, federal law enforcement, FBI, marshals, DEA, you name it. ICE, Border Patrol, state troopers, and the others. Just a tiny percentage of the population is willing to do this. And they get paid peanuts compared to everything else. Peanuts. They have to put in years to get their pensions. And then they treat them like this. And then you have Republicans, Quislings, who are buckling to this. Buckle to this. This makes me even more pissed off. Makes me more furious. You know, there are real Gestapo-like activities going on around the world. There really are. In communist China, in communist North Korea, in fascistic Russia, all throughout the Middle East, all throughout Africa, all throughout Central and South America, but not in our country. No. No. The idiocy. Tens of millions of people coming here because they want to be treated by an SS. These analogies are so horrific and so vile. The ignoramuses who spew this crap. And a lot of them are these comedians. You got these idiots like Dave Smith, Steve Colbert. Who's the other idiot? What is his name? I can't remember the guy's name. He used to be with Stern. Yeah, of course you don't remember. Who remembers these guys? They have no ratings. They're on network TV and they have no ratings. Free TV. They're not even on cable. Jimmy Kimmel, what a putz. What a slob. But Fallon, is he a lefty too? But I don't think Fallon's like them. That's my guess. I don't hear about him that much. But when you do a Nazi joke, it's not funny. It's not funny. And this guy's such an egomaniac. He thinks he's so righteous. He's such a thought leader, when in fact he's a low IQ thug. He owes the men and women of ICE, the men and women of the Border Patrol an apology, but he won't apologize. Because he's an a-hole. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
It's a pleasure to have our friend Kevin McCarthy. It's been way too long. Kevin, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing good enough. And I wanted to tap into your knowledge and your experience, which is considerable. Here we have again the Democrats wanting to, quote-unquote, shut down the government unless we do some awful things to ICE. What do you make of this?
This really goes to the core of how weak a leader Schumer is. Because shutting the government down is because he's too afraid of the political winds instead of guiding. I've always believed there's only two types of leader. You're a thermometer or a thermostat, right? A thermometer can only tell you the temperature. A thermostat can change it. It can tell you what the temperature is and tell you where it's going to take you. That's a Donald Trump. That's a Ronald Reagan. That's a Winston Churchill. He can't even make a decision. They've already decided on all this funding. They've gone through the bipartisan work. It was all done. It passed the House, and now they're emotional. So, we can't go through with what we said was the right thing to do. Now they try to want to hold the country hostage after they just did it for the longest in history, simply because he couldn't make a decision last time. Remember when he voted for a continuing resolution in the last year? He had a new book come out, and he couldn't go on a book tour. He's too afraid of his own voters. And there was a new poll out. He is the most disliked leader that I think of all time.
Well, I've always disliked him, but it's nice to know everybody else dislikes him, too. Now let me ask you this.
You're with the big group now.
I'm ahead of my time. Let me ask you this, Kevin McCarthy. But they think this is going to work politically. That this whole ICE thing is, yet the American people do not want illegal aliens in the country, and some Republicans are starting to buckle.
Well, you get the weakness there. Now, I will tell you this. I thought what President Trump did was extremely smart. He goes and puts Tom Homan. I don't know if you were able to watch that press conference today. That's 40 years of pure leadership, of understanding. He just brought a calmness to everybody. And then when they asked him a question, he didn't raise his voice. Why are we here? Because for 4 years, you let the entire country wide open. And then there is someone who's illegal who broke the law, and you go against the federal law thinking you're some other country of what you can and cannot enforce. Mm-hmm. If they don't want chaos, just abide by the law. Let them know when they're in prison, this person's illegal. We can remove them. That's all that has to happen. The ICE agents go to the jail instead of have to go find the people.
This has been the law decade after decade after decade under Republicans and Democrats. I mean, Obama deported people. Clinton deported
Tom
people.
Holman was in charge.
That's a good point.
And
but
they
all of us,
the most people.
Yeah. Is this the way the Democrats hope to hold on to power? Is this it?
Yeah. Well, just think of what they've done all the time before. They have moved every position what the core of America believed, right? The Democrats just shift so somehow President Trump supports the law, right? If President Trump supports Israel, somehow they're opposed to it. If President Trump supports Mother's Day, they're opposed to that. They cannot lead. They don't know where they're at. And that's why they did so poor in that last election, right? I mean, think about this. Here he is not only rebuilding the country, this is like a Ronald Reagan moment and a Margaret Thatcher. He has reshifted the world. And are we forgetting what Joe Biden did to us after Afghanistan, where leaders like Macron ran to China? Everybody and the Chancellor of Germany ran there and said, we need a better relationship because America's not strong. We're redirecting our own hemisphere to be pro-freedom and democracy in America. Think about what she and Putin are now thinking after they look at what transpired in Venezuela. You know what? Maybe the crinks need to break up, the China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran. We have not seen something like that since the 1930s. And had President Trump not come into office, you were poised to have World War III. And you've got to remember this. This is the longest time in history since the Roman Empire that you haven't had the major power in a world war. I mean, we have gone on, and here's President Trump keeping peace around the world, resetting the economy, that America is stronger, our adversaries become weaker, and they want to complain instead of join about what is wrong with all Americans believing, make America great. How is that wrong?
Yeah. Let me ask you this. What do you think is going to happen with Iran?
I truly believe he is doing exactly what has to happen. He is telling Iran right now, you've got to end your nuclear program. And you know what? I told you last time you had to do it. I gave you a deadline, and you thought I wasn't serious.
But what about all the people being killed?
Oh, that's an atrocity. You think of the thousands they are killing. Where is the freedom there? And what did President Trump say? If you go after and kill these people, you will be struck. I believe he will keep his word.
I do too. Otherwise, why have all that military power out there? Originally, it wasn't about a debate again over nuclear weapons. It was keep protesting, help is on the way, right?
Remember what happened during the Green Revolution in Iran with Obama as president? Nothing. Where people were slaughtered, where people wanted to rise up for their own freedom. What would have Reagan done? Exactly what President Trump is doing right now. Exactly the foundation of what the greatest strength of America is the idea of America. We are at the 250th anniversary of this country. It makes other people rise up with a desire for freedom. And we sit silent?
What do you make of, we haven't talked in a long time, what do you make of what I call this neo-fascist movement? I don't think it's part of the Republican Party. It's outside the Republican Party, or this isolationist movement, or whatever you want to call it, with the Tucker Carlsons and the Bannons and these
the
people.
Nick Fuentes, I called this out a long time ago. They are not Republicans. Remember, in my life, I grew up in a household of Democrats, and I've always been a Republican. I rejected what I saw. I know and a fundamental of what the conservative movement means, and it has no place for fascism. This is scary to me, and you can't sit by and just be quiet. That's why I think you're such a tremendous conservative leader, because you lead on principles, and you're not afraid to call them out. And you look at the action of what they do when they get called out. Their debate makes no sense. It's not based upon principles or anything else. And when you listen to their debate, just put your headset on, just be quiet and listen. You're wondering, are they debating for us to support Russia? Are they debating for us to be weak and go to our adversaries? It makes no sense. And why
there's nothing to debate.
Free loving. Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's your position. You hate Jews. You hate Israel. You love Putin. You hate Churchill. You're downplaying Hitler. So what do you want me to debate? Seriously. Kevin McCarthy, don't leave us. I want to carry over if I can. The great Kevin McCarthy. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin, America's Paul Revere. Call him now at 877-381-3811.
We're here with Kevin McCarthy. You know, Kevin, over the years, I've seen when they start targeting individuals, those individuals are targeted because they're doing a hell of a job. Whether it's Supreme Court justices like Clarence Thomas or Sam Alito or whomever it is, and I see them doing this to Kristi Noem. And I got to tell you, I don't know her very well. Bumped into her a couple times, but probably no more than a 5-minute discussion. And when you consider the massive nature of that department and what's happening on the border, that it's been closed down, these efforts to get illegal aliens out of the country and so forth and so on. And when you consider people who've held that position, whether at the Department of Homeland Security or the old INS, I can't think of anybody who's done a better job than her. Look at the guy that was before her. What do you think?
I think she's extraordinary. Now, I've known her a long time. I've watched her. I just texted her the other day. I said, I'm on Team Noem. Because think about what has happened in less than a year. The border is secure. She is responsible for FEMA, for Secret Service, for the Homeland. She's
TSA,
done an extraordinary job. And for people to try to attack her, they want to attack her because she's a woman. Maybe she's pretty. She is tough as nails. I don't know if you ever known the story about her when she tells her work. Her father died in a grain accident on the farm. No. She had to leave school, come home, and she had to work night and day for a number of years to pay the U.S. government the inheritance tax, not because they had money, simply because they had land. And she did it. I mean, she's an extraordinary, she's tough as nails. And I have been dear friends with her for a long time. I've watched what she did as governor, turned that state around. People are moving to South Dakota. She lowered the taxes. You talk about a business atmosphere. And she loves the country. She created 4th of July at Mount Rushmore. I mean, look, people may want to attack her, but I'll tell you, she's the wrong person to attack. But because she's not going to be weak. She's not going to back down. She's tough.
It seems like, this Hakeem Jeffries, who can barely complete a sentence, in my humble opinion, and he's out there, we need to ice her and ice her for good. What kind of comment is that, number one? Number two, these are the guys who were defending Mayorkas, who was a complete fraud, phony, and fake, who skip through all the rules and regulations when it comes to immigration and so. They just don't want these laws enforced because they want these voters, no?
That's exactly what they want. The only leader that is weaker and can't make a decision more than Schumer is Hakeem Jeffries. I've worked with the man. He cannot make a decision. And I don't know the rhythm in which he talks. It's confusing to me. Instead of let's just have a conversation about what needs to be done. But he can't make a decision, so he lets the extreme in his parties do it. It is a weak position for the Democrats to be in. And I will tell you, when you look at the last director of Homeland Security, he lied to the American public every single time. The border is secure. You remind me of the old Iraqi general thing, everything's fine on the airfield while America was landing.
Baghdad Bob,
it was
I think
an embarrassment. Yes, remember that? Oh, my God.
God, yeah. So, now, let me just tell you this.
We're all fine here.
Yeah, everything's great. Yeah.
And everybody's running across the border.
Run for cover.
Secure, and people are just running across.
But, it's amazing to me because to see these Republicans run, though, I'll tell you now, they think they're cutting some kind of deal with Schumer and so forth and so on. I think the Republicans on Capitol Hill better keep something in mind. We conservatives are a big number of people within the Republican Party. I don't care what these other influencers and podcasters have to say. We're the heart of the party. And this is a critical issue for the future of the nation. And they better not sell us out. They better not buckle so completely to these Democrats.
No, we are conservatives. That's why you have a majority. You do not have a majority without the conservatives. It is the principal core of the Republican Party. These fascist individuals, they just come along because we won the majority, trying to say things. You cannot be weak-kneed in this situation. This is the one that tries the men's souls, where you stand up and where do your principles apply. Look, I say fundamentally, you got a basis on the rule of law. And you know what I have found on these illegal immigration? It's just not an issue about America. It's around the world. It will destroy other countries, and we've watched it time and again, what has happened to London and France and others. Look, you got to abide by the laws of the land, and when you follow through on those, you're not doing anything wrong.
I would just warn the Republicans, you need a turnout in the midterms. And I want our folks to turn out in numbers, and they have to have a reason to turn out. It's not going to be enough to stop the Democrat. Look, it is enough for me and you, but it's not necessarily enough for everybody. So they can't drop the ball on this issue, because it's a bowling ball. You're going to drop it on your foot, and it's going to be a disaster. Kevin, you're great. We appreciate having you on. Have a wonderful new year, and take care of yourself. My best to you and your family.
All right, my friend. Take care.
You too. You too. Be well. I like him a lot because I could talk to him a lot about certain things. He would listen. He tried to carry through with a conservative agenda, despite the fact that he had No Pants Gates there who hated him because he wouldn't intervene in that ethics committee stuff and all the rest of that insider crap that went on. But he's a very good man. I'm serious about this issue of immigration, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know why I have to tell these guys this. It's not all of them, of course, but it's some of them. We don't want Islamists who want to overthrow our country here. We don't want people who overstay their visas here. We don't want people who are ripping us off here. We don't want people coming here and going on welfare. We don't want people coming here taking our jobs. This was, if not one of the main issues, the main issue of the last election, the election before that, and the election before that. Look at Europe, what Kevin McCarthy was talking about. Look at Britain. Britain's been conquered. It's been devoured. France is over. It's over. The Islamists know it. They brag about it. We have a Marxist Islamist who's now the mayor of New York. And we have these pockets being created in Texas and Florida and other states for the very purpose of changing the outcome in the voting and so forth, because it doesn't take much. Look what just happened in Virginia. Virginia's now a dark blue state, and the Democrats who ran as moderates are not moderates, and they're going to destroy the state. They're turning it into California as I speak, right now. So another state's off the list. Well, we can't survive that, America. We can't. And I'm not going to tolerate any compromises that surrender to this. If it's something superficial, I don't much care about something superficial. But if it surrenders something substantive, you and I, we're going to mobilize. Because here's what people don't remember. You remember it. Most people don't remember. It wasn't any other syndicated show that caused those phone lines to shut down when they had that so-called, Gang of Eight compromise on immigration. That was amnesty. We did that. You rose up. You picked up the phones. You sent the emails and the texts. You shut down the Capitol Hill phone. We did that on a Levin surge. This program with you, Mr. and Mrs. America. And we will do it again. We will do whatever we have to do to defend this country. And that's the least of it. You want conservatives to turn out and vote? I don't want to hear anymore. I don't give a damn what Tucker says and Bannon says and Kelly says. Who cares? You're the muscle of the country. You, my audience, right out there. And we won't be taken for granted. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Let's take some calls here. Let's go to Ian, San Francisco, California, the great KSFO. Elon, how are you?
Hi, how you doing, Mark?
Well, thank you.
I'm calling for two reasons. First, as a Jewish, with all these remarks like they use Nazi, Gestapo, Eichmann, all that, it's really insulting and disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they would know exactly what those people did, and they're disgusting. And I was wondering if it'd be the other way around, if they do for colored people use a bad word that they use in the time when they used to lynch them, how much noise they're going to make about that.
Actually, I didn't even hear part of your sentence. You wondered if what now? Say it again.
I wonder if there would be for the colored people.
We don't call them colored people. We talk about African Americans, black people, that sort of thing.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
It's all right. I don't think you mean anything.
Americans, they use this. Yeah, if they're going to use insulting word like the N-word and that, how much noise you would hear out there.
Well, you're right about that. You're right about that, but it's even worse. That is, when you see what's happening to the Chabad headquarters, when you see what's happening to synagogues, when you see what's being said about Jews by people like Tucker Carlson and Bannon and other people like that, and they are embraced by public officials and so forth and so on, when you see this sort of thing going on, and Jews aren't the only ones that see this. I have many pastor friends, have massive churches. They see it. They're upset about it. They're worried about it. Other people, historians, I played Antonin Scalia the other night, what he said couple decades ago. Americans, red-blooded, patriotic Americans, see it. They don't like it. And they understand what's taking place. And I just hope that we can repel it. We can repel the people who are behind this, whether they're of the isolationist neo-fascists or the Islamist Marxists or whomever they are. All right, Elon, thank you for your call. Honestly, don't believe the man meant anything by what he said, but I did have him correct it. Look, words have meaning, and you got to try and get them right. It's that simple. It's not about being politically correct. It's about respecting people. Let's go to Trey, Duncanville, Texas, the great WBAP. Go right ahead, please.
Yes, sir. Long life listener. Dyed-in-the-wool Republican. I voted for Republican since 1980. When I was in junior high school, I voted for Ronald Reagan. Been a Republican ever since. Very conservative. Right. I'm pro-life. I'm pro-gun rights. I'm pro-tax cuts. All that.
All right.
Stuff.
So what's going on?
So with that being said, I would like to know, I have voted absentee for many years here in the great state of Texas, and I have worked for Dallas County elections, and for early voting, and I'm disabled from car wrecks and stuff, and I have the legal right to vote absentee, and I just want to know why Donald Trump is trying to change the law so much. I agree with him 99.99% of the time.
Let me slow you down. From the day I began voting many decades ago, absentee ballots were always allowed for people who were disabled, people who were out of town and can show that they're out of town and that sort of thing. In other words, real reasons. But to vote absentee because you don't feel like getting in line and stuff like that, it is problematic because it's an enormous number of votes that are cast that way. And maybe your county does a great job. Maybe other counties do a great job, but all counties don't do a great job. And so what you want to do is limit the opportunities for fraud. Limit them. And so people ought to show up at the voting booth on Election Day, vote on Election Day with paper ballots. I've got no problem with that. I have no problem with voting machines if the machines are 100% kosher, as they were when I was young and I was voting and so forth. But voting... It's not that you should make it as easy as possible. You should make it bulletproof from fraudsters as possible. Thank you for your call, my friend. We salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel, our truckers, the men and women in Ukraine and Israel, and the men and women in Iran. And you, the American people, my wonderful listeners. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night.